what's going to be a real focus of the Next Gen North podcast over the next month or so is the Esplanade, and I think what ties in well with that is your recent purchase of Char, or Old Admiralty House. I think it's
Old Admiralty, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
effectively known as. That must have been a hell of a relief. Can you guys just tell us a bit about the process that's happened there?
In the heritage component of it?
No. Just finding a new clubhouse for you guys.
Oh wow, that was a long one. Actually, Stephen suggested that we have a chat with the current owners, whether they want to sell or not, and because we were in the market, obviously, to purchase and re-establish ourselves. Now, if we didn't re-establish ourselves nearly immediately, we would have lost our liquor license and gaming license. And the gaming license is actually a substantial gaming license, being 55 machines. Now, that's unheard of. Mm-hmm. There isn't anywhere else in the CBD that has that many.
Right.
Just unheard of. The
So
only
huge.
other places are clubs like the Kaz and the Kazales and so forth. So if we didn't act straight away, we would have lost the whole thing and then restarted, and there would be very doubtful that we would have gotten our gaming license renewed. Liquor license, we could probably get it, but
Sure.
gaming, and in this environment, whilst it's frowned upon, it is probably a lifeline in terms of maintaining any type of profit within the Darwin Services Club.
Yep.
So we had to go through that process through liquor licensing and gaming, and they gave us 12 months, starting from about mid-March this year, to have a venue up and running.
Right.
We have every month we need to report back to liquor licensing on our what we've done, on the progress of getting us established again. Which reminds me, I've got to do one. It was due on Friday. And we're progressing nicely now. So the application is now sitting with liquor licensing.
Okay.
There's signs up at Char, call it Char or Old Admiralty.
Yep.
Right now, they're on display for the next 30 days.
Great.
Once that's done, we'll start we're actually going through heritage as well, because we're going to do some modifications. The building and land in its entirety is heritage listed.
Right.
So we've made a submission to heritage as well, and they should be sitting sometime in the first half of December to make a decision. And we have an agreement whereby we lease with a guarantee to buy within 2 years.
Great. You touched on something there, the heritage listing. How have you found that process? Because I guess the heritage declaration process has been well documented in the media of late, with the provisional declaration made over the entirety of the Esplanade, which has previously or just recently been overturned by the Supreme Court. How have you found the process to, I guess, lodge an application through the Heritage Council to make changes that you want to make at Admiralty, Old Admiralty?
The heritage staff, they're really helpful in terms of what we've got to present to them. Mm-hmm. And in the end, it's not their decision, it's the Heritage Committee's decision on whether we make those changes or not, or get them approved. So our submission has been fairly lengthy. I did an initial submission and they sent it back to me saying we need a lot more information, which I had no issue with. So an architect had to do that. It's well and truly outside of my remit and ability. So that we're going to be sitting down with them shortly. They've accepted our revised submission, and we'll be walking through, I believe, the entire committee sometime next week, and then they will sit the following week through the site to make sure they understand our plans. And the intent there is that we don't make too much of a change to remove the integrity of the heritage component of the building, which has got quite a unique history in terms of how it started with a guy called Bleeser. He was a botanist, had unique plants, and then the building itself was moved from, I believe, Miley Point across and became Old Admiralty House, and the reason for that is because it was the senior naval commander of the Northern Territory occupied that place until 1957 or thereabouts, and it was the headquarters for the Cyclone Tracy component. Actually, it started in 1957, not until. But when you talk about heritage in the broader sense, whether the decision on the Esplanade, good, bad, or indifferent, for us, it will make it simpler because we do plan on putting in a planning application to occupy part of the Esplanade directly opposite Old Admiralty House to enlarge our capacity to hold events like Anzac Day, and Remembrance Day, and any other one. I mean, look at the position where Old Admiralty House is on the corner where the Anzac Day march commences.
Right.
The cenotaph is across the road. So people are going to come straight across from the cenotaph to the Armed Services Club, commence their frivolities, but we need an area that's big enough to hold 1,500 people. So it's going to have to be on the Esplanade. So that road will be closed anyway.
Right.
So we might as well utilise it, and that's the intent. And it would be a permanent application, not a once-off or two.
Yep.
It'll be to hold X amount of events per year, and we'll have permanent structures there. That's our plan, whether it gets approved or not.
Yep.
At the moment, Darwin City Council are actually in favour of it.
Right.
They're supporting it so far.
Well, that's fantastic because I think that fits sort of narrative of what we're looking at the moment. That's, you know, really not just developing the Esplanade for the sake of developing it, but it's about utilisation, I think, more and trying to deliver benefits to the CBD at the moment, which I think is really, really tired at the moment. I'm sure you guys would be well aware of the plight of the city. I think there was an NT News story yesterday. There was a council motion raised to lower parking after 3 p.m. Some retailers have said that they're doing a 40% reduction in trade, which is alarming to say the least. So that's really, really good to see that type of
at least some incentive. Isn't it?
And just thinking about what can make the CBD better, and which is I think what we all want to see.